Business likes balance. Hello, my name is Mike Koziol, and this is a 100K Playbook, a podcast where I talk about running a 100K business, solo consulting business with the help of a VA or two with, relatively high revenue and really amazing profits. So today I wanted to talk about the balance between what you do in your business and what your clients experience working with you and working with your business. Because what very often happens is that whenever there's an imbalance between two forces, then you will have and some sort of a friction and a stressful situation. That imbalance happens, for example, when you have too much capacity, as in like you have more time, especially when you are employing staff. Then you have people that you pay every month, and then you don't have enough work for them. So that creates this imbalance and friction and a lot of stress, because you have to pay the overhead, you have to pay the payroll, and yet you don't have the work. At the same time, the imbalance will happen when you have the opposite, which is you have more demand coming in, but you don't have enough capacity. That's going to create friction too and a stress, because you're like, hey, I'm leaving money on the table. Those people are going to somewhere else. They're going to work with my competitors. I need to hire someone ASAP. This is a stressful situation as well. So whenever there is imbalance, then you'll be in a kind of stressful situation. Now, the imbalance I want to talk about today is an imbalance on the delivery side and the expectation side. So a common problem and common imbalance that I can see when it comes to running an agency, freelancing, or a consulting business is that we do a lot of things for clients. Like we put them first. And in the other episode, I was talking about putting on the mask first, or like when you go to the, when you are on the plane and they'll tell you, in case of emergency, the mask will drop down. You put them on first. Check out that episode about why you should be focusing on your work versus clients first, and then only then on clients. So go and check out that episode. But what I wanted to talk about today is more about, we have a tendency to do a lot of things for clients, and we put our stuff, our business on the lower lower priority list. We allow the client to kind of maybe cross boundaries, or allow the client, or we'll say yes to a lot of requests from our clients. And what it does, that kind of situation creates imbalance of the value that is being exchanged. Remember that when you work with a client, you solve their problem, and in exchange for solving that problem, they're paying you a certain amount of money. You are spending the time and using your IP, your skills, your intellectual property to help solve that problem, or solve that problem fully, in exchange for the money, right? And so if the client keeps on asking for more and more, and you have to give more and more for the same amount of money, and the value exchange becomes skewed, so it's not kind of one-on-one, it's not fair anymore. The client gets a lot, you need to put a lot of effort into it, right? So there's a friction, because if you have a lot of clients who have high expectations and are demanding clients, then you can't, on the other side, on the delivery side, tend to all the clients the same way. You cannot land more clients. You're occupied with those 2-3 clients, whatever number is, right? So that's an imbalance. At the same time, I have clients come to me and say, hey, I only want to work 2 hours per week. And that would obviously create an imbalance, and that's an exaggeration, obviously, but they want to work less with existing clients, and that would create an imbalance on the other side, where you're happy with your kind of side of the coin, where you're happy with your delivery, like I only work 2 hours per week, I only work this number of days, whatever. But on the other side, there is imbalance, because your clients are not getting the result, they're not getting the attention, they're not getting the the value from that relationship. So that creates imbalance too. And no matter what kind of imbalance you see, whether that's from a client side or from your side, you will end up losing that relationship, because you either create resentment towards the client and you burn out in your own business, or your clients will leave you because you're just not delivering on the promise. You're just not delivering them what they're supposed to get from from the work with you. So what matters, what is important, and what is my focus very often when we build different delivery models to actually scale you to $100,000 as a solo consultant, that requires a massive change, a massive redesign of the delivery model, right? So, which means you no longer work one-on-one, or if you do work one-on-one, you work in a productized consulting manner, right? So, but that we always make sure that the client experience stays the same or is even better than it used to be when you used to work one-on-one, when you used to work in a kind of custom fashion, right? So we always take into account both sides of the equation. How, like, what is the most effective and efficient delivery model for me as the business owner, as the consultant, and does the client still have an amazing experience working with me, right? Because if you abuse one of the sides, then you will create imbalance, and that equals lost, broken relationship, right? So whenever you are thinking or redesigning your delivery models, always think about, okay, if I redesign my delivery model, if I go from custom to productized, am I still able to keep the value or give as much value or even more versus what it was when I was working, in a custom one-on-one way? If I'm moving away from one-on-one and moving towards the group, how do I ensure my clients stay happy, and how do I ensure my clients still get the results and the benefits and the value from the work that is now different when it comes to the the model, because it's a group versus one-on-one. But what are some of the, maybe there's some additional benefits, and I will tell you there are. That there's a massive benefit of working in a group setting, and your clients will be very happy with it. It's just a matter of how you transition them from one-on-one to group setting. I've very rarely see any pushback from clients who go from one-on-one to group, provided that you create that transition and you provide value and you show of how valuable that transition is, and how much better off they will be working in a group setting. And that's very important to ensure that that experience is kept or improved. One other aspect to it is to remember is that we always try to increase the LTV of a client. Like, the focus is to keep the clients that we have and keep on working with them as long as possible, provided that it's a good relationship, obviously, versus landing a client and forgetting about the existing client and going after new ones. Because it costs 5 to 25 times more to land a new client versus to increase LTV of an existing one. 5 to 25 times more costly, because if you take into account, marketing costs, time spent, lost, revenues from, due to the delay of not having a client pipeline, long sales cycles and stuff like that. 5 to 25 times more expensive than it is to keep an existing client, even giving them a discount or whatever you have to do to increase the lifetime value LTV of a client, right? So that's what we're always trying to do. So we're always trying to ensure, and part of the LTV, how to increase the LTV, is you ensure that the client's experience is amazing. The client has gained everything they need to gain and then some, right? That when you change the delivery model, when you change things so that they work for you, you don't decrease the experience that they have. You actually keep it the same, on the same level, or even improve, right? So when I was moving from one-on-one to a group setting, I wanted to make sure that my clients are getting the same or even better experience. Obviously, it would be the best, if I was kind of like egocentric from a business perspective and only paid attention to what I want to do. Well, the obvious answer is like, I want to charge money and do nothing, right? But obviously that's not going to work. So you need to make sure that whenever you have an idea of like, how can I improve things so that they're more productized, more easy, more efficient, more profitable for me, don't forget about the other side of the coin, which is, what will be my client's experience when we do this? Are they going to have an amazing experience still? Are they going to get the same or better results? Will they be willing to stay with me, the same amount of time or longer? Can I charge the same amount of money or more, or do I have to charge less? You have to start asking those questions and create solutions on both ends so that it makes sense for both. And then you keep that balance of, you give, your time, energy, passion, skill, and they get the results and they give you the money in exchange for that, right? So always pay attention to the balance. And like I said, business hates imbalance, business loves speed, that's and for another episode. But yeah, share this episode with someone who is in this space and who would benefit from it, and I'll see you in another one.